medicine. She is also the mother of a 5-year-old son after fertility treatment, and she wants to share her personal story that ended up with a case in the Danish Supreme Court last year. So let's welcome Mia to the stage.
Thank you. So I will also start my speech by saying thank you for all of you to come and listen to me. If you were not here, it wouldn't make sense to speak up at all. So 5 years ago, I lost my job, and I didn't lose it because I wasn't doing well or because I made a big mistake. I lost it because I chose to be honest. I chose to be honest about starting fertility treatment. The dismiss left me shocked, and I was not only surprised, but also left with an empty feeling of being treated unfair. So if someone had told me 5 years ago that I would be standing here talking about a case that ended in the Danish Supreme Court, I would never have believed them. Back then, I wasn't interested in law. I wasn't trying to speak up or trying to become a public voice. I was mostly just focused on one thing, becoming a mother. But yet here I am, trying to tell my story and share my perspective on how fertility treatment is not only a medical issue. After a miscarriage, I went through a simple surgery where they by mistake damaged my fallopian tube, both sides. Like so many other women, my partner and I was after told that fertility treatment would now be a part of our journey to become parents. It wasn't something that we had planned. It wasn't something that we had hoped for, but it was now our reality. And as everyone in this room knows, fertility treatment quickly becomes more than just medical appointments. It becomes calendars, blood tests, hormone injections, waiting, hope, and sometimes also disappointments. At the same time, another part of my life was moving in exactly the right direction. I was working as a student assistant in a company where I actually really enjoyed my job. I worked hard, took on responsibility, and I had ambitions. After 9 months, they paid off. I was giving more hours, and shortly after that, I was given a permanent full-time position there. It felt like everything was finally falling into place. But little did I know that just after working 26 days, I told my manager that I was going through fertility treatment starting after the summer holiday. And I didn't tell them because I had to. I told them because I wanted to be honest and that I truly believed that it was the right thing to do. I wanted us to be able to plan all my appointments or potential absence in advance, and I didn't want to feel shame about my situation, and I couldn't even think to imagine that I could risk my job by doing so. I truly just believed that it was the right thing to do. But when I returned from my summer holiday, I couldn't log into my computer. Shortly afterwards, I was dismissed. The reason given was collaboration issues. It came as a shock to me, and I remember sitting there in the meeting room trying to understand what had just happened. Only a few weeks earlier, I had been considered valuable enough to receive a permanent contract. Overnight, that value seemed to disappear. Not because of my work had changed, but because my future had. That was the beginning of a journey that I never expected to take. A journey that would last almost 5 years. And many people assumed that my case was simply about whether I had been dismissed because I was about to go to fertility treatment, and to be honest, I also believed that at first. That is why the dismissal felt so deeply unfair. But soon I was to discover that the case became about something much bigger than my own fertility treatment, because suddenly the case was not about my personal situation anymore. It was about a legal gap in protection, and a very simple but crucial question: when does protection against dismissal actually begin? Is it the day a woman steps into the fertility clinic? Is it when she receives her first hormone injection? Or is it when the treatment physically starts? Or does the protection begin earlier, when the treatment is already medically confirmed, planned, and imminent? Because if the law only protects women once the treatment has started, then there is a window, a legal blind spot, where everything is known, but nothing is protected. Where women can be dismissed, not because she is sick, not because she is performing badly, but simply because her employer knows what is coming. And that was the question that not only mattered to me, it matters to only every woman undergoing fertility treatment. It matters to employers trying to interpret unclear rules, and it matters to courts trying to define where protection begins in real life, not just on paper. And that was the question that the Danish Supreme Court had to answer. And when they did, last year, they did it very clear. Protection begins when fertility treatment is medically established and imminent, not only when it has already started. And I find that as a landmark judgment that significantly strengthens the protection of women in workplaces. Not only for those who have already started, but also for those standing right on the threshold. For women who, like me, chose to be open and honest with their employer. I'm incredibly proud of that judgment. But it feels almost strange to me that I get to stand here because I don't see it as my victory alone. I truly believe it belongs to every woman going to work every morning while also carrying the emotional and physical weight of trying to have a child. To every woman trying to fit scans, blood tests, hormone injection, and clinic appointments around meetings, deadlines, and responsibilities. To every woman wondering whether she dares to tell her manager what she's going through. And every woman who decides to stay silent because she is afraid. Afraid of being overlooked, afraid of missing out on opportunities, and afraid of losing her job. We often say that we have come a long way when it comes to gender equality, and we for sure have. We have achieved so much, but my story also reminds us that equality never is something that we can take for granted. Because if women are still afraid to tell their employer, their families, or their friends that they need fertility treatment, we still have a way to go. And it's not just about the law. Because legalization matters, but the culture around it matters just as much. If fertility continues to be treated as something private, something we shouldn't really talk about, then women will continue to carry this burden alone. But fertility is not a private matter. Not when more and more people need fertility treatment. Not when societies around Europe are concerned about declining birth rates. Not when fertility treatment has such profound consequences for work life, healthcare systems, and families. Not when mental stress directly impacts your body and treatment. This is a shared responsibility, and it must be. It requires employers who meet their employees with trust and understanding. It requires politicians who are willing to prioritize the issue, and it requires all of us to speak openly about fertility without shame or stigma. Infertility is not a personal failure. It's a life circumstance that affects millions of people. Today, I stand here on the other side. Not only did I win my case, I got to be a mother as well. But I don't feel that this victory belongs to me anymore. I got justice, and I got to become someone's mother. This victory now belongs to every woman who comes after me. To every woman who can now tell her employer about her fertility treatment, knowing that the law offers stronger protection than it did for me. Perhaps it's only one small step forward, but to me, and to every one of you, it's a very important one. And if my story, if this judgment, can help just one woman feel a little less alone, if just one woman feels more able to be open, if just one employer pauses to think twice before making a decision, then these past 5 years has been worth it. So today, I stand here filled with gratitude, a bit of water in my eyes, and pride, not only for myself, but for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. It was very moving. We have time for questions from the audience, so please ask them.
Hi Maya, thank you so much for sharing. I'm from an organisation called Fertility Matters at Work in the UK, and we're trying very hard to get the legislation changed for paid time off and all the issues that you've been talking about around discrimination. That going to the Supreme Court, can you just tell us a bit about that and your decision to do it, and did you have to spend some time gathering evidence, or what other support did you have to go and make that stand, which is so commendable?
Yeah, thank you for your question. After my dismiss, I went straight home to my partner, and I was like for 2 days crying my eyes out. And then I found a very good lawyer who believed in me from the very beginning that this could not be right. So we started to collect evidence, but actually in Denmark, when you have cases like that, it will always be the employer who needs to prove that they didn't fire me because of collaboration issues, that they did not fire me because of fertility treatment. So yeah, I think the table has turned. Yeah.
Next question, please.
Thank you, Mia Marie, for this presentation. It brought back a lot of memories for myself. As a former patient, I never told at my workplace, but this was 15, 16, and 17 years ago. Never. Because I wanted to do that. I didn't want at that time to go without promotion, which would happen because they would thought I would be pregnant every second, every moment, and we all know how long it can take. But this reminds me of this inequality, not only for fertility treatment. We are talking about this period and facing infertility and going for fertility treatment. It also maybe reminds me of one fact which I noticed here at Ashres again, is that babies are not welcome, in a sense that even young specialists and experts cannot go and have breastfeeding with their babies, even if they're here as young mothers. Maybe this is also one thing to remember for Ashre. This is just a comment, and thank you very much, Marie, again, for your nice presentation.
Any other questions from the audience?
If I may ask a question. What do you think that fertility clinics could do better to help patients in your situation?
That's a really good question. I think fertility clinics could do some things better. I think they could, to the start, try to see like the person that comes in, not just a body. Like I was to discover that when I just arrived, they were like, yeah, put your pants off, I will do this, not even like, how are you feeling, how are you? So maybe start with just a simple question, how are you? How are the hormone injections affecting you? And I also think they could look at the opening hours. Why should every treatment, why should every appointment be when everyone else is at work? Why can't I go like at 8 o'clock in the evening or at 7 in the morning before my work has to start? I think that would help a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much. Is that time? Now we are moving to our tours.